Hello and welcome back to the Black Celebration. I am your host. Am I your host? I am your host, just Miché, and we have a very special guest with us. We have Ressie G from Atlanta, and we also have our piece of pop culture lead, Justus Tarique. So he is going to join us for the entire conversation. As you know, we live by the EMC lifestyle where we educate, mitigate, and celebrate. Today we are celebrating with a bottle of brown Chardonnay. Unfortunately, we do not have a bottle of champagne because, well, Black companies do not get their due justice in the stores. So we're still waiting on more of the Black companies to have their champagne in the stores. Hopefully next month, the Brown Estate will actually have out their rosé and their brut so that we can have it on the show. But for now, this is a Black-owned company, so please look it up. And Ressie G, if you will do the honors of
I sure
opening.
will. Yes.
And while he does that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Ressie G. He is the executive producer and creator of Chasing Dallas.
Yes.
And he also has the show on YouTube. He is a friend of Justus Tarique. He is from, again, Atlanta, Decatur, Georgia.
Yes, where it's always
where it's greater. Okay. He has been excellent since we've began to talk, and he is a part of the LGBTQ community. It is Pride Month, and so we're going to have a conversation today to educate people about the Black experience in the LGBTQ community, and then also just kind of having a conversation about what it's like celebrating, being able to be free in who you are and true to yourself. So, Ressie,
yes.
Would you like to add anything else? Tell us a little bit more about you.
Sure. Born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Decatur, where it's greater. I've been in Dallas almost half a decade now, which is interesting because I never would have pictured myself in Dallas. Yeah, it was so random, but it's been this experience of my life has been definitely hashtag adulting.
Yes. Hello.
So it's really been a journey for sure. So
okay, awesome. Justus, do you want to share anything new about you? Because the people don't usually get Justus for this long on the show, so
they don't.
So give us a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just here, honey. I'm existing. I am improving. I am advancing in my career. I am in school. Unfortunately, I'm still very tired.
Come on, school.
I'm exhausted, but hey, I'm trying to make sure that you see me for a long time.
Yes.
So I'll make sure that this little hour that I'm here will not be the only time that you see me.
Come on.
And we love it. Yes. So we're going to do a toast first.
I already had tasted it, y'all.
Oh, you did? Oh, no, you fine, honey. Toast to this amazing conversation we're about to have. Thank you for joining us and for being a voice.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Thank you for accepting. I'm so excited that you're here. Can't wait for this conversation.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was... So, Justus actually brought up to me that June was Pride Month.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, well, absolutely we have to have the conversation because I consider myself an ally. And you guys will, by the end of the conversation, let me know whether or not I am. Like, am I doing the right things? Am I,
You are already just by even partaking in this conversation, so most def.
Okay, well, I appreciate that because I think that it's very important for us as Black people, period, to be able to talk about our experiences. And so with that, I want to start with the question of what does Pride Month mean to you? Like since it is being broadcasted and celebrated and all that, what does it mean to you for this to be going on?
I believe for me, Pride Month means a moment of reflection of how far we have come as a community, as a nation. And then when even you look at the different derivatives of what it means to be LGBTQ plus, it it's grown. I mean, at first it was just, queer and gay, and then it grew into LGBT, and now it's LGBTQ plus, and and then we're able to include the allies into it, because I mean, without y'all being a voice in spaces that we can't, we are not able to progress. And then vice versa on the other side, with us being able to be voices for Black women in particular, women of color included in that, it to me pays homage to the transgender women, visually feminine men that were a part of Stonewall, that made those moves and made those drastic actions to make it easier for us today. Right. So it just kind of, it's like our Black History Month, just another month that we can reap some benefits from shit. Right. So can I cuss?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, cause some shit. And so that's what it means to me, for me. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Justus?
Pride Month to me is a time to celebrate, which, I'm all about having fun. I enjoy myself every day, but during, 6/1 through 6/30, it's fun. I get to celebrate. I get to see people support. Because, everyone, you may have the support there, but it's not vocalized 365. Right. So it's great to have a time frame where things are put on the spotlight. So that way we can support, we get the support, and we also get the chance, like Ressie said, to kind of shine light on the past and see where we come from and where we came from and where we're going. Right. So I really do enjoy it. There are different sections of it that, can be a little interesting, which I'm sure we'll get to. But I definitely do enjoy Pride Month. It's very fun to me. It's a very free time. And the fact that it's the beginning of the summer. So, it's when my thighs can come out anyway, and you're going to accept it anyway.
Right.
Because it's going to be a hot girl summer. It's going to be a hot gay summer.
No.
Regardless.
It is a Lori Harvey summer.
It's a Lori Harvey.
T-shirts coming soon. Stay tuned. Yes.
Okay. Because that's where the real bag is.
Okay.
And she chasing it?
She is.
Oh, yes.
She was born into it.
She chasing and getting.
Ooh.
But that's another conversation.
Bye.
So to 2 points of what you all just said. One, Ressie G, you just said that in your explanation, you said that it's a time for other people to speak as well. So I pride myself in diversity and inclusion training, and I'm actually presenting a training to my colleagues next week. And I'm including not just race, but LGBTQ plus. I'm including disability, like all of that in the diversity training, because I don't think that it's discussed enough. So I'm going to use a lot of what I learned today to also be included in that, because I work with children. And I know that there are kids that need people to be a voice for them. And as the part of their life when they're coming to schools and, being faculty, we can help educate other people, because there are a lot of people that are not educated and they don't want to learn, right? They have no knowledge and they don't want to go out and get the knowledge. So I'm going to give it to you. So to that, Justus, you said something that it could be interesting. There's a part of Pride that could be interesting. So I have a question about you being Black, gay males, and your counterparts getting a lot of the media attention, or they're put in the forefront of Pride and things like that. Like, how do you feel about that?
I think it's easy to just say it's how the cookie crumbles, but that's not acceptable. So I feel like if we can analyze what my dollars are going to, honestly, then I feel like I can support the proper channels to make sure that I have the avenues to represent myself and my people. So yeah, Coach is coming out with a Pride line, or Nike got all these gay shoes, and everybody's thing is a rainbow starting at 12/01 June 1st. But that has nothing to do with the struggle. That has nothing to do, and there's different intersectionalities as well. But for me being black, I'm like, oh, okay, well, everyone that I see looks like everybody at the Gap. You know, and I don't want to see that. Right. That has nothing for me personally. So to me, I'm like, what can we do to make sure that our voices, being, you know, black, gay, or, you know, pan, anybody within the LGBTQIA plus community, what can we do to advance our voices and make sure that we're heard? It's very interesting to see, and it's I see some progression year by year. Honestly, I do, because I'm only 26, so I am blessed to be able to say that I've grown up in a tolerable time frame where a lot of things are a little bit more open, and people are just a little bit more liberal, I guess, right? Towards certain times. So I'm interested in seeing where it goes, but it's not moving fast enough for me personally. So that's why I say it's interesting, right? Because I feel like they're using the rainbow as a dollar, but the rainbow has a lot of colors, and I feel like I'm not being represented in that color. So
okay. Ressie G?
I mean, just to piggyback off that, I do think that when it comes to mainstream media, which is why I started to utilize my platform to shed some light on us, gay folk first, black people next. Not second, but next. It's always been a thing where mainstream uses whatever is popping as a way to make some money, which is the business. I'm not going to shoot you down for that. I mean, you got to make your money, because the last thing, like a blue-eyed blonde hair was out of style. So next thing it was transgender women. You know, now that's the thing. You know, once upon a time, it was black feminine men, where Derek J and Miss Lawrence were the highlight of a lot of things. So, very true. You definitely have to move with the trends. My only problem or reservation about that is we need more of our allies that are not a part of these mainstream campaigns to understand that LGBTQ people are not just sex. We're not different because we have sex with the same sex, because that's what people like to break it down to be. It's more so of we're only LGBTQ because there was a sector created for us because we were discriminated against and needed respect from for being who we are, right? So let's just imagine if LGBTQ, that denomination was taken away. There's nothing different from a man of color to a heterosexual man of color to a homosexual man of color outside of us being able to love the same sex. Because if you look at it, it's the same concept of a heterosexual man loving his brother or his uncle or his cousin that's male, you know? And so to me, if people just mind their own damn business about what goes on up under my sheets, then we could be okay with just living and coexisting. But I think that when it comes to the allies, it's always a walking upon eggshells and hot coals when we talk about gay folk in general, because it's like, oh, I don't want to say the wrong thing. Right. Or it's kind of like a white person loving a song that got the N-word in it. And it's like, you got to pause right there, because it's like, I don't want you to think that I'm racist. But it's that same concept of, okay, so just because you are gay, you're different. So let me tiptoe around certain things. Because I come from a time where it was, all they wanted to know was, okay, so who doing who? Okay, cool. But why is that a thing?
Why does that matter?
Why does it matter? Just know that he's happy and I'm happy too.
Right.
Yeah.
To that point, that is why I said I consider myself an ally. But I don't like to say stuff like, I have a lot of gay friends. Because I feel like that is the same thing as a white person saying, I have black friends. No, these are just my friends that happen to be gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has nothing to do with like, I'm more of an ally because I have gay friends, if that makes sense, you know? And that's why I don't walk on eggshells. Like, Justus can tell you, I just ask him, should I say that? And I'm not asking it like, you know, I don't think I should say this. I'm asking because I want to be respectful. It's the same thing. take it on the flip. I have a Hispanic friend that asked me about black hair. And their question was just straight up. They were like, why are people so fascinated with your hair? And I told them, I said, it's because everybody else's hair looks the same. If you think about it, Hispanic people, white people, Asian people, it's just that straight hair. But he asked the question in a way of like, I'm not trying to tiptoe around it. I just have a question, right? Yeah. And I think that for me, when it comes to the community, it's like, why are y'all making such a big deal about what somebody else is doing at their house, in their room, in their bed, you know? And so it's good to hear you say that because that's how I think a lot of the times, but I don't have a lot of conversations with people about it, you know, just on an everyday basis. So I'm glad you said that.
So let me challenge that. So let's equate gay black men to a black woman's hair, right? Black woman's hair can take so many different forms. Naturally, it can be kinky. You can straighten it out and it can stay because it takes to a product. You can braid it up. You can wrap it around. You know, you can do many things that other races cannot do with their hair, right? And that is something that other races envy. It's something that I wish I can get that tightly coiled hair without using a chemical, just so I can give this look to feel beautiful, right?
On Tuesday.
Because
on Thursday I can do something different.
Exactly. So now let's jump over. So when you have a gay black man, you call us a bitch, we're gonna take it as a compliment. You call a straight man a bitch, he's gonna take it as a shot. You know, if we embrace our gayness in the workplace, it's actually going to help us progress because there's a whole nother quota that people don't want to talk about when it comes to corporate America, but by having somebody gay is like having somebody of color on your team.
Most definitely.
Ignorant people always think that gay people are smarter. So, you know, I think that when it comes to when a black woman realizes that she can lean into her beauty with her crown and glory, then that helps with a gay man leaning into the idea that you have way more strength than any heterosexual man on the face of the earth. And then people always put black men at the top of the totem with that strength factor. And so we're a step ahead. The only thing that we don't do, but we could, is give your black woman a baby.
I'm into that.
Well, I identify as pansexual, so, you know, I can.
Really?
Okay, so tell us about that.
So that just means that I'm more so attracted to the person and not down there.
Their genitalia.
If that makes sense. Yes, exactly. I don't, that word gets me. But I've always been someone that's like, oh, okay, well, this is a masculine presenting man, or this is a masculine presenting woman, or this is a feminine man, or this is a feminine woman. I can do, or this is a transsexual man. I've literally, the spectrum has interested me, and I've dated, and so that for me is how I identify, because I'm like, you know, as long as I click with that individual, that's what matters. I don't care what society says. I don't care what is going on under your clothes, because at the end of the day, if I like you, I'm going to make sure that what I got can please you in any which way of the fashion.
Come on, what I got.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me about your experience within the black community being LGBTQ plus. Like,
child. My experience with being a man of black experience and also being a man that identifies as homosexual has been different from everywhere that I've traveled to. You know, when I traveled overseas, people thought I was a woman because of the way that I wanted to dress overtly feminine one day. Okay. In Atlanta, it was always, I mean, you guys may not know, but I was a stylist for about 11 years in Atlanta. I did wardrobe. So when people equate you to a section or a career in beauty, if you're gay, then first thing they're going to think, and it was kind of offensive. I had experience with my family, my dad's side of the family, and we were playing categories.
Okay. The word game.
Yeah, the word game. So basically you get a letter and then you get a category and then you write down a word that equates to that thing. So it could be something that you drink that starts with L. And then you can put liquor, right? And so you have to put like a shoe, and then it starts with L. So I said a Louboutin, you know, and they would say things like, "Oh well, I know that's right because you in fashion," and it's like, bitch. The fuck? And then even working in the industry, you know, I dated, you know, at the beginning of my career, I dated a really popular rapper on the low, and it was a sense of security for him because he knew I'm trying to get somewhere. He's helped me fund my career, and because I was a gay man, he knew that it was okay to do that versus his other DL homeboy that he knows. You know what I'm saying? And then in the industry, when you are in the entertainment industry dealing with television and all these different people put you at honestly, a higher regard in Atlanta when you are of the community. Moving here to Dallas, and I believe it's because I had grown, the experience has been different because it's hush hush, it's taboo. Oh, we don't talk about that. You know, it's very Southern, you know. Oh, that's something we don't talk about. We know you're gay, but we're not going to talk about it because we don't want to offend you. And then we don't want you going to this and this and this and this, doing all these things. And then even within the community, when it comes down to dating and when it comes to being social, there's so many intersections of what it means to be, you know, because at home, I'm really the trade. I'm really chilling, but I know there's a bigger charge on my life with being visually feminine because I love to be beautiful, you know, and whatever that means, because I'm able to inspire other people to step into this arena. And so it's, to me, my experience has constantly been learning, and I've never been gay bashed. I've never been discriminated. I don't believe that I haven't noticed discrimination with being gay from heterosexual community. I've received more backlash from the LGBT community for being who I am than the heterosexual community.
So your family and friends just were automatically accepting, and there was no, like, you didn't have to come out and, you know, all of that, or was there a process with your family?
So my dad passed when I was 14. So, but my dad always, shout out to my daddy watching me. I think my dad knew that I was gay before I did.
Okay.
Because he was, yes. Parents know. Yeah. You know.
I'm a firm believer that
parents know. And so for my dad versus my mom, because my mom is of the experience as well. She's bisexual. And so my dad, he was always I'm not going to say flashy guy, but he was always, you know, he was the linen suit, gold chain, you know, deep voice dude. Right. You know, he wore bell bottoms back in the day and the fitted shirt. And so my dad, he would say, now, boy, deep voice, boy, if this is what you want to do, then you're going to do it right. You know, it wasn't about me being gay. It was about me doing everything correctly. Okay. And so I used to get whoopings if I had dirt under my fingernails. If I had dandruff in my hair, I would get a whooping because if I wanted to be this person, you're going to do it right. Okay. And you're not going to do it the wrong way. So when it came down to my dad's side of the family, my daddy had already passed, so the only person I had to respect was my grandma. When my grandma went on to glory, fuck the rest of y'all. Okay. My mom's side. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Now, with my mom's side of it, because see, my daddy's family was from the country, and then my mama's family from the hood. Right. So I was, at the time when my dad passed, I had life happens, and I was a foster kid for a little while, and then I went on to live with one of my cousins, and she was pressuring me to come out. You know, I was just trying to finish high school. I didn't have my first sexual experience with a guy until I was 20, first year of college. And you know, I wasn't focused on that. I was just like, let me get out. I went to 3 different high schools, 3 different middle schools. I'm trying to get out. So I'm not worried about, you know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about that. And so she texts me one day, and Quintina, she texts me one day. Call out. Oh yeah. And she was like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm at my homeboy Tim house, because Tim, he was who he was. And I was over his house. We were just kikiing, burning CDs. That's the time we burning CDs, trying to get the new music to play in the car.
Okay, LimeWire.
Right, LimeWire, girl. And so we just sitting there chilling, and I'm like, I'm at Tim's house. We just, chilling. And she was like, why you always hanging around with boys? I don't never see you hanging around with no girls. And I was like, in the telltale sign of being engaged, you hang around a lot of females? I'm just hanging around with
I was just about to say, I thought it was.
And then she said to me, well, I just want to know, are you gay? Because I got friends asking me and they're uncomfortable. No. Your friends probably asking you because I'm hot as fuck. Instead of get out of high school. And they want a scoop of this sugar, honey. But, and so with that, I think that most gay men, they start off as this whole, well, I'm bisexual stage. Yeah. And so I had texted her and came out, and I didn't go home. I stayed at his house and I went to school the following day, and then I skipped the rest of the day and I went to my mom, and I went over there to my mom's house, and she came outside and she was like, "What's going on, babe? What's up?" And I was like, "Oh, mama, I'm gay." She was like, "Okay, you want to run me to the store right quick?"
Some cashier.
We gotta make this food.
And so that's literally what it was. She was like, "You gonna take me to the grocery store? Let's go to the grocery store." And it was not a big deal for her.
Okay.
And so once I had that, my senior year of high school, I met my best friend of almost 15 years now, and we were each other's learning tools when it comes to lifestyle. And then his uncle, his biological uncle, is gay, and then his husband is gay, and so they were in essence my gay parents.
Yeah.
That taught me the way. And so coming out was not a burden, but for years I wanted it to be, because I've always had this problem with wanting to be just like everybody else and wanting to be criticized and be normalized when that's just not my, story, I wanted the mom to be like, "Are you sure you don't want to read the Bible? Mm-hmm. You sure you don't want to have sex with one more girl?" And that wasn't it for me. And so I thought that there was something wrong for years. You know what I'm saying? And so, but that just wasn't my journey. But my strength was built in another way. Mm-hmm. And so my experience, I believe, was different from others, but I didn't have this troubling coming out story. In fact, my best friend took me over to see my grandmother when she was on her way out. And she was just like, "Tell him to come over here. Who is that?" And it was just kind of like, okay. Yeah, he wasn't my man, but
right.
I think she knew that, but it was just kind of like, all right. Yeah,
That's good. That's beautiful that you had that experience. Justus, I have known Justus since he was a tiny tot.
Come on, tiny tot.
So,
Eat with your way.
Yes.
The itty bitty
So,
bitty bitty.
I mean, when we was literally pulling up to pick up my friend, and then Justus come running outside to the car. Like, I've been knowing Justus since he was a little one.
Okay.
So,
come on, hey girl.
but I haven't talked to you about your experience. What was it like for you to... And maybe it wasn't necessarily come out to your family, but just like, finally be able to just be who you were, period.
So I've always had a different dynamic with my family. I come from a background of parents with drug addiction, and that kind of leads to a level playing field as far as you're not above me because you've stolen, there's just a lot of things there. So we just have like a level playing field. So not to get into all that, but when I was coming into who I knew that I was, I had my cousin who is now not with us anymore. She came to me and said, "Hey, there's people in the family saying this." And I was like, "Well, girl, duh. Like, yeah, girl, I'm gay. Who cares?" Okay. Like, I never had to think that it was an issue. I went to Jackie Singley Academy. All the niggas gay. So I was just like, it was never a thing for me. And at the time when I was going through actually telling the first person that I was attracted to men in any way, both of my parents were in prison. So I didn't have them to tell. My grandmother was still working. And then I had my cousin that was murdered literally months later. So there was just a lot of growing at the same time. So it was never really a conversation that was ever had for me personally. It was more so, well, baby, what's up? Because I don't live with you. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? I don't care. So when I turned 21, I got to the point where I was like, well, Justus, maybe you need to actually have this conversation with your parents. And I called my mom and I was like, hey girl, listen, sister, the doll be down at Pride, and she was like, okay, baby, you know what? That's fine. I'll talk to you tomorrow, nothing. So I went to go see my daddy and I was going to, come to him in person because I just thought he would be against it. And he was like, what's wrong with you? Oh, you was going to tell me you was gay, huh? Oh. He was like, get you a beer, shut up. I was like, oh, okay. So it was never that thing. Like, even literally, my parents right now are like, hey, let's go to the parade. Let's do this. Let's, what's going on with this person? Or can you tell me more about, Legendary or Pose? I really want to watch Pose. Oh, wow. Let me get your login. Still ghetto. So I've never honestly had I've had the turmoil, but it was internal, honestly. Like, when I think about it, my grandmother does not care. Like, even though I came from a very religious Church of God in Christ background, I'm still so blessed to say that once I realized who I was, everybody else was just like, oh, okay, we ain't got to worry about him. Like, it's never been a problem. The main thing has been like, hey, I don't want you being drugged or robbed or anything like that. Those are the scary things for my parents because I am a little bit more, bouge than a lot of the kids. So so that's where my parents' concern come from. And they're not worried about me being out here, paying the kids all over the world. I'm not doing that. So I'm blessed to say that I haven't had to have that worry or that stress. And it was probably a 2-year time frame in between when I came out to my cousin and when she was murdered to when I came out to my parents. And my dad was like,
right,
go get me a Michelob Ultra and shut the hell up and sit down.
So, like, you all tell me what y'all think.
Okay.
About coming out, period, at this point. I mean, is that necessary? Let me tell you why I ask. Because, as we all kind of stated earlier, I feel like parents know, and it doesn't even have to be about sexuality. Your parent know if you're dumb or not. Okay, your parent know if they need to go ahead and get you in these basketball lessons or if they need to get you a tutor. Okay,
they do.
They know. So outside of that, is there a reason to come out? Like, and I say that because I feel like a lot of the times, the turmoil and the mental health issues come from a person having the stress of needing to tell other people. So is that necessary? I mean, I've never told anybody I'm heterosexual. That wasn't a stressor for me. And I understand, like, society and how things are changing and moving. It has not always been like that. But at this point, is that a need, a necessity?
I think it's personal. I think it depends on, your upbringing, your parents, what you need out of life. I, for one, am somebody that you can call me A through Z in the book. And I'm going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm finna go to Popeyes and get this number 2, baby, because I don't care what you just said about me. Because I know who I am because I've created who I am for years. But for, younger individuals, there's certain, upbringings and things where that may be necessary, where they feel like if I do not say this out loud to you, you do not know who I am. Which I still don't think is the case, because your parents, I feel like your parents know, or the people that love you the most know and will accept you in whatever way that you identify. But I think it's a personal journey. Because if I feel like that's something I can tell you, as from when I was 16, 15, that's all I thought about. I was like, well, I didn't care about what I was dressed like. I didn't care about, you know, how fat I was. Literally, the only thing that I cared about people thinking about me was, oh, he knows I'm a faggot. Like, that's what I thought about constantly in my head. So once I got that out to the people that I actually gave a damn about, it didn't matter.
Okay.
So I think
that
it's
was
personal.
like a stress reliever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
to
I
tell
think it's
the
personal.
ones that are closest to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it's personal as well, but in a different way. I agree with everything that he just said. I think that when it comes down to the parents, you know, I think all parents create this life for their children because they're so happy to welcome this entity into the world that was made out of love, made out of anger, made out of mistake. You know, when you are welcoming, it's a gift to be wanted, first of all, you know. And so to even be wanted and welcomed into this space of so many things that we deal with, to have this child, the first thing they want to think is, I want to keep them safe. So let me make a mental list of all the things that can harm this child. And gay is one of them. You know, you can get gay bash, you can catch diseases and die. You know, they always think the extreme, but they don't think about what beauty comes with being homosexual or part of the LGBTQ community. And so for me, when I look at it, it's more of it's the parent that I believe has to understand that I want my child to be a doctor. I want my child to be a supermodel. I want my child to be this and that. I want my child to do everything that I could not do. So I'm going to make sure that I do everything so they don't have to struggle. Then they have to add another thought of, but if this child does not do that, I'm going to support them in whatever else they want to do. I had a conversation with my mom, and I asked her, I was like, well, I said, what was your plan for me in your mind, when I was born? She was like, well, I thought she was going to grow up and have a wife and about 3 kids by now. And, you know, I thought she was going to be a singer because you was always singing around the house. But, you know, that wasn't it. And she was okay with that. And now I think that if a lot of parents were able to just take on that idea of, yes, this is what's planned, and I'm going to do what I need to do to help my child get to that. But if they take this right turn and just be themselves and be uniquely created, then that's okay, because I'm going to support them. I'm still going to keep them safe, but I'm going to support them in everything that they do. Because at the end of it, one thing I think that all parents can agree to is the best times for their child is when their children bump their heads. You know? Okay, she finna trip over that shoe. I ain't gonna move the shoe because she need to understand to watch where she going. She gonna trip over that shoe. She just tripped and fell and bumped her head. All right, let me go get the Band-Aid. And so if parents kind of do that thing, then I don't believe that the burden is put on the LGBT folk to come out, because coming out does not give you any difference of perspective from what the parent has placed on them. Now, there are some people that feel like, because one thing that I've seen moving to Dallas is a lot of people come from these small towns and they move to the big city of Dallas, and these guys, they are afraid to come out. I met a guy once upon a time who, it was 4 siblings, 1 female in the middle, 3 brothers, all of them were gay. He was the only one that hadn't come out. He had went to the military. He makes the most money. He's the most prestigious, and he's the second to youngest. But he was literally the only one that hadn't come out, because he thought that by coming out would make him less of a man. It would be a fault to his masculinity, when it's not. So I think it's an internal thing. I do think that it's important to understand the necessity of coming out, but parents and their children have to understand between the two of, is this important for our relationship? You know, does this elevate or not?
So we are talking about sexuality in that. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about sex and gender. So, and there's two ways I want to take this because I have questions just for my own knowledge. So the first thing I want to say, hold on, does everybody need to pour up? Because we we got bottles.
Okay.
So
Shout out to House of Brown.
Okay.
House of Brown. House of Brown, y'all need to send her a whole case, okay?
Period.
Hello.
A whole case.
Let's talk about, and just as you know, you have the other bottle behind you.
I don't know what you mean.
A born female that feels or says or wants to be male. That is a process of having to come out, quote unquote, because I don't know if there's another way to say that, because you have to tell people about that. Because the gender or the sex that you're assigned at birth is not what you want to be as you go through life. So, and I'm going to take this back to my own personal experience. I had a conversation years ago now, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago with somebody. And they were saying that their sister was born female, but wanted to transition to male. And now this was an adult, so they were grown. And but then we started talking about children, and we talked initially about King Amaya because she is the first, you know, for the millennials, the first trans woman to actually like process through the media, right? Through Instagram, through Twitter, all that stuff. So I was telling them that no, if my child is 10 and they were born female and they tell me I want to transition to a male, I'm not going to allow that. The reason is because I've worked with children now for 10 years. And even just my experience as being a child, kids change their mind all the time. So when it comes to you telling me that you want to change your sex as an adolescent, I'm not for that. I feel like if you are 10 and you say to me, I want you to call me a boy, we'll have that. You born female, you want me to call you a boy, we'll have that conversation. But the transition is not something that I am supportive of. Because I think that there's mentally a lot that comes with that. And then, again, like I said, children change their minds all the time. So I have kids that I've worked with that have told me, you know, I don't want to be called she. I want to be they, them. I see them 2 years later and they're like, oh, miss, that's okay. I'm a girl. You know? So, and this person got really, really upset with me because they were saying that you're not going to be supportive of your child. And I don't feel like that's what I was trying to convey, but maybe the words I was using were not right. But that's just how I feel. You're a 10-year-old, I'm not going to allow you to transition your gender at that age. 15, 16. Once you become an adult, when you have decided that, yes, this is what I want to do, then I will allow you to do what you want to do with your life. How do y'all feel about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, when it comes down to, I think the masses of people and parents have this automatic fear of when their child says that they want to transition into the sex that they identify with most, they automatically think it means genitalia. They want to have a SRS or a sexual reassignment surgery where they're changing their genitalia, or they look at it as mutilating their body to become this person that they want to be, right? So, and it's way more than that. And I believe that when a person is born, when a person is accepting of the sex that they were assigned from the doctor at birth because they have this genitalia, it makes it easy for the world to identify this person as male, this person is female. When I look at you, I see a woman. When I look at you, I see a man, right? I don't know what type of genitals you may have. Because for all I know, you very well may be transgender and you may have a penis, but that does not change who I see here and who I'm going to respect you as, because this is who you're presenting me with. This is who you identify as, you know, same thing. And so if I see, say, a person who, whatever I see and whatever you tell me how you want me to address you, I'm going to respect you as such. That's it. Because I can say the same thing as I'm a white woman. Are you going to respect me as who I tell you to be, or are you going to rebel against me?
Correct.
So if I say I'm a white woman, respect me as a white woman. But the thing about it is, I believe that people have this hang up of wanting to not mind their own damn business and constantly want to put you in this bubble of what everybody else says. If I had a child that wanted to transition, it would definitely be a conversation, and I would have to figure out, for me as a parent, we would have to have a conversation and say, okay, well, what do you want? What do you want me to do as your parent? Where do you want to go? And then that's what we will do. If it comes down to, because I mean, honestly, it's just a child is a child. They are learning each and every day. As adults, we're learning each and every day. As far as any major surgeries, it's the same concept of nobody ever has conversations about how Kim Zolciak allowed her child to go and have, you know, plastic surgery.
I did. I had that conversation.
Oh, okay. But there you know, I mean, and so it's the same concept. So it's like, you know, if you have these people in Hollywood or these wealthy people that are allowing plastic surgery for their children, it's the same concept. It is your decision, and it's their understanding that for them to feel better about who they are, let them do what they want to do within reason. If I have, even speaking on, say, the Zaya Wade situation, Gabrielle and Dwayne are raising this child. This child identifies as Zaya. So you should just be respectful to Zaya as a human and let Zaya be Zaya. Zaya, as she grows, because I'm not saying she because she identifies as she may very well change her mind. But once she gets to that age of wanting to physically change her appearance for the masses to respect her as who she presents, that's when things change.
And those are conversations that I feel like I'm willing to have, right, with a child. When I was talking about, they were talking about the surgery, and I'm a firm believer. Maybe it's because of my background, or just because of the way I was raised. But I don't think that children have I don't think they should have just the range to do whatever they want to do.
I don't.
As your parent, I feel like there should be some way I'm guiding you, because life is going to happen regardless. So that was the way I took the conversation. But do you have anything to add to that, Justus? Because I have another question.
No, I mean, honestly, I just really would say, as long as you are respecting your child's wishes, albeit prior, if you don't support surgery at a young age, because I don't really know that many kids would completely grasp the surgery aspect of it, as far as you respecting what they identify as. I think that is more so what you get at a younger age is, this is what I want to be, this is who I am, this is what I want to present as, respect me as such. That will garner a bigger response and a bigger acceptance than speaking about about surgeries, and because that's different. That's changing. That's altering your entire life if you think about it. Like, you know, so it's not. It's complicated, but it's not at the same time. It's very interesting because you can take it one way or you can take it another. So I personally feel like if it was ever come to me, I'd be like, okay, well, I want to make sure that you understand what this means.
What it means, right?
And if you cannot tell me that you understand fully what this means, then that means that you are not ready.
Yep.
Because I've researched this before, so I do know people that have made these decisions at 12 and 13 that have gotten surgeries in certain countries, and they've been perfectly fine, and they've lived their life the way that they want to because that's exactly what they knew. They understood it. That's what they desired. That's exactly what they are. But then there's some that say, oh, okay, well, I identify as trans for 4 years, and then they turn 16, and then they're like, okay, wait, maybe I'm not trans. Maybe I'm just a masculine presenting woman. Right. So, you have everyone's mind works differently. Absolutely. So I can't tell you how your mind works. I'm just going to respect what you tell me.
Mm-hmm. Very good point.
So in Dallas, they are doing the surgery. Children's Hospital will facilitate the surgery for children and adolescents. However, you and your parents are required to go through a year of mental health therapy.
At least.
So I think that that's a good starting place. But the other thing was, you said something, Ressie G, about the way people identify, right? And just as a natural born woman, a heterosexual person, as the years have gone by, I've seen different labels. And I'm just a person that I don't like labels altogether. Like I don't like to be called African American. Like, stop calling me that. Like so many things that I just don't identify with, right? Cisgender. So that is a word that I learned within like the last year and a half, maybe 2 years. And had a conversation with somebody, and I was like, well, I'm not cisgender. I'm a woman. And they were like, well, you are cisgender because you identify as a woman. And I tried to have this conversation and just say, like, I was born like this. And there is something that reminds me every 28 to 29 days that I am a woman. So it's not just that I am identified. That's who I am. So why do I have to now be put in a box because of the progression of everything?
So don't think you're being put in a box. One. Okay. So it's just another way to define a difference between different types of women. Okay? Saying that a woman is a cisgender woman versus being a transgender woman is saying that that's a black woman and that's a white woman. That's it. Saying it's just basically saying that you were assigned at birth, you were given female. You were born as a female, and you're living your life as that female from beginning to present. Transgender means that you were originally assigned one sex and now you're presenting another, And so that's where it comes into play with cisgender. It's not to say that you're in this box. It's not to say that you are different. It's just say this is another way to say that you are a woman, a biologically born woman. This is just another defining word. It's like saying black and African American. That's all it is. And I think that some people, when they give cisgender to a woman, it comes off offensive because it's like, what you calling me? What you mean? I ain't no cisgender. I'm a woman. Well, that's what we're saying. That's what they are saying, and it's just technical. Yeah, and I think that people, when these words are created and when these divisions are created, I hate it. I don't. To be politically correct, of course, I will acknowledge a woman that is transgender, but I hate acknowledging transgender.
What do you mean?
I hate it. It burns. It irritates me so because I see a woman. I have sisters really close friends that just so happen to be transgender. But when I look at them, I see a woman. I should not have to publicly say this is a transgender woman. I should not have to publicly say this is a transgender man. I shouldn't have to say this is a cisgender woman, a cisgender man. Those terms were created
to make other people comfortable.
Yeah, to make other people comfortable with understanding what's going on. Same thing with saying, right? Yes. How it came from nigga to Negro to black to African American. Excuse me, nigga, Negro, colored. Okay. Black African American. Right. You know, it's just these different divisions of making somebody outside of that particular word comfortable because you know that you gave us this title and it was disrespectful anyway. So let me go ahead and amplify this to something that's a little bit more, you know, sweet to say so that you're not offended. But either way it goes, you should feel offended when somebody calls you transgender, cisgender, because I am Michelle. That's it.
And Justus, you had a little reservation though, so tell me what that was about, because I want to know. You made a little face, so I want to know. As I want to have a real conversation,
just get it real.
Well, I get really sensitive when it comes to the trans community. I don't know why, honestly. I think it's just because I have fought internally so long to make sure that who I present as is who I am. And you're going to respect me as a man because that's how I present. But if you looked at me, you wouldn't know. Let's say I was trans, you wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Like, you would have no idea. So what you were saying earlier was that you identify as a natural born woman and you have a monthly visitor every 28, 29 days. However, there is somebody that can present exactly like me that could have that exact same monthly visitor.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand. Help me understand.
So I could be a trans man and you would not know. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You see, like, I could look like my face could be bearded, beat down. Like, I could present as a man. However, internally, I could still have a uterus. I could still have a vagina. Okay. I could still have the parts that make a cisgender woman. You know, I could still give birth.
That make a cisgender woman. That's what I'm saying. So I understand what you're saying now. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is that why do I have to identify with anything? Right? Like, why do I have to say, yes, I'm cisgender? No, I'm a woman. Like you said, you look at somebody, right?
That's the same respect that they want.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give it to them. But I think that... Mm-hmm. Right.
But their fight is for the individuals that are not. Their fight is for the individuals that, when they're walking down Royal Lane, they get killed. Mm-hmm. That's their fight. So it's a little, like, that one word is one thing, but their whole life is another.
Right.
So that, to me, it's a little bit more sensitive because I can go through Kroger, I can walk through, I can go to the Black Party and be good to go. But my trans sisters, my trans brothers, they are demonized differently. Mm-hmm. Even though we are members of the same community, they're demonized and they're victimized on a completely different level, at a higher level, unfortunately, than I am. And it's a soft spot for me, honestly, just because I cannot understand, I can't fathom someone hating someone. Ooh, wait a minute. Mm-mm. For being who they are. Like, it's disgusting to me. So when I think about the trans community, I get really sensitive. So,
and I respect
I'm just
that.
in it there.
I'm here to be corrected. I
would say it's when someone addresses you as cisgender, you can just simply say, I don't like to be addressed that way. Mm-hmm. And that is totally fine. Yeah. It's the same concept of...
I don't like being called gay, but I do it all the time.
And so you just have to check that person, because if that offends you, even though it may be the truth on paper that you are a cisgender woman, just say that you don't like to be addressed that way. Because I personally do not address me as a nigger, even with my my homeboys. Don't address me that way because it's not what you call, it's what you answer to.
Right.
And so it may come off that offends me, so don't address me that way. That may be.
I identify as rich.
And it wasn't so much that it offended. And let me also say this, because there are women that have been born female that do not have monthly cycles. So I just want to put it that having a cycle does not make you a woman, because, that does not happen for everybody. Sometimes it just doesn't go that way. But I think that it's just labeling me all the time. I feel like just as a black woman, I'm having to be labeled all the time. And then this happened, it's like, okay, this is adding another label to my life. And I think that the person I was talking to was offended that I didn't want to be...
accept that label.
Right. And I'm just like, golly, am I going to have to be labeled my whole life? Next thing you know, next year there's going to be another label about something that is natural to me, right? Like, I'm black, and somebody said on one of these shows that somebody was openly black. I'm not openly black. I'm just black. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think for me, it was just like sometimes I get exhausted with the labels that we have to experience. But I do understand what you're saying, Justice, is just like the violence and the things that trans people have had to experience. So I understand what you're saying is it's very sensitive to their experience in life. But I don't know. I feel like we get caught up in a lot of labels as Americans. I don't know what happens in other countries, but we get caught up in a lot of labels here.
And it goes back to a lot of the labels that are given to different types of people are always for they think that it helps you understand this person, but it really doesn't. Because at the end of the day, I would prefer for you not to give a trans person a label, but just be accepting to give them a job. Because at the end of it, it doesn't matter if because there are a lot of women that look like men that are cisgender. Let's be clear. It doesn't matter, because a lot of transgender women, trans men even, a lot of trans men struggle is that they try their best to live their lives as stealth, because there are tons of trans men in this world that are raped constantly, went from the military to just their everyday. Then you have trans women who have to turn to sex work because they cannot go and get a job without being ridiculed for the way that they look. And so that's where we have to have a conversation about, well, whose problem is it? Is it the problem of this trans woman who has to turn to sex work to live her life, or until she gets that opportunity, or until she learns a trade where she can do this skill where she can make her own money? Or is it the person at the McDonald's, at this corporate office, that will not give her a job? So it's it's a two-edged sword, where to me it all boils down to, if you just respect this person of who they tell you they are, because I'm not finna question you. Michelle is Michelle. Michelle says she's the she. Michelle does a podcast. Michelle has her home. That's it. If I'm looking at you, justice is justice. He is presenting me as he is doing these things, and I'm going to respect him as such. If we do that and not try to go along with what other ideologies and rules that have been set by other people and not us, it would be so much easier and it would make room for less discrimination, because there's nothing wrong. I mean, we can go back to slavery. You beat black folks and put us in chains and whips and all this stuff for what? Nobody can really say why there was slavery outside of you needed somebody to work in the fields and you just treated them wrong.
And you didn't want to do it.
And you didn't want to do it. But if you would have thought, if people would have, let's take slavery for a second. I don't mean to go long-winded, but just the last point. Let's take slavery for a second. And if we look at, let's say the colonizers would have went to Africa and spoke to these people and said, hey, we got some land over here and we want to do some working together so we can make some money. Y'all want to come make some money in my country? They could say yes or no. Some people going to say yes. If they would have taken them And then all of us would have been in the fields together. All of us would have been pulling the cotton to make clothes. All of us would have been building these houses together. We would not be in this situation. But what you chose to do was because you saw a particular type of person that is stronger than you, you tried your best to keep your foot on their neck by putting them in the fields. But this nation, the United States of America, would be so much further if they would have made a different approach of just saying, I don't have to steal you to build my wealth, but let's do it together.
Right.
Then it would have been black and white folks in the field together, making money and eating together. Then you wouldn't have too many white women out here that can't cook.
Me. Move.
I'm just saying. Am I wrong? I mean, I'm just saying because that's where it come from.
That is a good point.
We wouldn't know nothing about a ham hock and some collard greens if we wouldn't give the scraps.
This is true.
But that's some good eating
But
right
I
there.
love them. I was going to say, hey, wait a minute, because I need some fried
That's all
cabbage.
I cook with. I just fried some cabbage the other day.
Oh,
Did you?
I need the leftovers.
Okay, where is the invite?
I'm coming. I'm fine.
So, okay, last question. And it's not necessarily a question. It is just give advice to youth that are either struggling with coming out or struggling with sexuality or trying to figure it out. Give advice to them that you wish you had have heard as a child yourself. Or if you did hear the advice, share what it was that someone told you.
My advice to someone that is growing up and feel that they are unique because society has made you unique is to always realize that your cup is always going to be half full. So fill the rest of it up, baby. You have to be able to understand that because you are unique, not different, that being a part of this community, you have people like us that are going to push you up, that's going to affirm you, that's going to be in your corner. And don't be trying to have sex until you're 18.
Hello, nice. Because regardless of who you having sex with, that brings...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Tell them.
For me, I would say do your best to realize who you are internally. Nobody spends as much time with you than you. You know exactly who you are. You are in your head at all times. So whatever you are most comfortable with, make sure that is the you that you present to others. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging, but make sure that you put your most authentic self to the world. Because if you pretend to be somebody else just to pacify somebody else's beliefs, you're still going to go home tearing at night that you're not the you that you need to be. So at all times, believe that who you know that you are is who that you should be. And you'll be the most happiest from my perspective.
That's beautiful, Justus Tarique.
What's your advice?
What is my advice? My advice would be to, like Justus said, be true to who you are. Continue exploring life, because I believe the more you grow and as life progresses, you change all the time. So continue just exploring your journey in life. Stay in your lane. Don't look at other people's lanes. Don't look in your rearview mirror. And allow other people's spaces to be who they are around you. I'm a firm believer in, allowing other people to live their own journey. So don't feel like you need to infiltrate what somebody else is doing because of what happens in your own household. Let people be and grow as they should. And if we did that, I feel like we would be just more comfortable. I don't want to say better people. I just feel like it would be less stressful. If everybody would allow others to be who they are, things would be less stressful. But always lead with love. I feel like, you know, like we say here on the Black Celebration, EMC, educate, mitigate, celebrate.
Yes.
So celebrate yourself in every aspect of your life.
Oh, yes.
Celebrate other people, their accomplishments. Celebrate your L's, which are your lessons. And be sure, okay. And be sure.
Not your losses, but your lessons.
Your lessons.
Okay?
I ain't never heard that. I like it.
And be sure to have a glass of champagne on the way once you turn 21.
Yes, 21. That's
After
it.
you drink your Chardonnay.
Right, because we're not even drinking champagne today.
But we can still celebrate with it.
This has been wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ressie G, for joining us on the Black Celebration. I feel like we're going to have some great feedback. I feel like you gave us some good things to take away. Justus Tarique.
Yes.
Who said he only wanted to be here a little bit. I really enjoyed you today. I feel like we need to hear more from you. Thank you for bringing our guest on. Thank you for joining us for the, main conversation. And we cannot wait to hear the piece of pop culture.
Oh, she's coming soon, baby.
Yes, because the celebrities stay doing some stuff. So, stay tuned next for the piece of pop culture. Thank you for joining the Black Celebration. Get you a bottle of the Brown Estate Chardonnay, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Period.